found this anonymous tweet on Twitter on June 4th, 2020, and I'm going to use narration to read it to you.
Worked was a counterfeit money laundering ring. El Nuevo Club was burned down June 4th by protesters, or, to hide evidence. They did work together indeed. Seems a lot of off-duty officers would moonlight as security guards in this club. The club did burn down. The precinct did burn down. Both this club, the location where Floyd was murdered, and the precinct are all in a close proximity. Most of us know that George and Derek worked security for a club in the past. They knew each other. Everything around El Nuevo Rodeo, the Mexican cantina and dance club where George and Derek worked, is sketchy. El Nuevo Rodeo, ENR, is a front business. ENR takes you to a shady network of LLCs and the name Omar Investments Incorporated, EST 1996. Dig a little deeper and something else becomes evident. The ownership might connect to one or more U.S. three-letter agencies. The ownership network has previous interactions with FBI operations in / around Minneapolis. This is not surprising because Minneapolis, Minnesota has more national security operations ongoing than any other community in the country as various groups are being washed. Omar Investments Incorporated had owned El Nuevo Rodeo Cantina and nightclub since 1996. The principal of Omar Investments Incorporated is Muna Sabri. In 2001, a close relative, Bassem Sabri, was captured by the FBI in a sting operation. ENR was a money laundering operation. Part of that laundry operation appears to involve counterfeit currency. Officer Derek Chauvin is a 19-year veteran of the Minneapolis Police Department. Derek Chauvin also worked at ENR for 17 years. That timeline puts Derek Chauvin showing up to work security at El Nuevo Rodeo Cantina and Club right after the FBI busted Bassem Sabri. Remember what intel agencies were doing right after September 11, 01? What I'm saying is that the nightclub and likely some cartel/terrorism stuff. If so, could this have been orchestrated by the deep state? And George slipped up. He had been stealing and spending the counterfeit money, so they took him out and used it as dual use. If you work for crime bosses, and you do the wrong thing, what do crime bosses do? They don't call the law. They kill you. Next, tie in the fact that there was not one EMT in the video. Did you notice that? I feel like the shock of the events transpired in the video made many not notice this little clue. Now I could be wrong and EMTs may dress differently in Minneapolis, but it seems that they're dressed as cops. As far as I know, EMTs don't wear bulletproof vests. The ambulance rolls up and it seems that cops get out. Cops carry him onto the gurney, and cops roll him into it, and that's it. EMTs would be running over, checking pulse, doing CPR, etc. None of that happened and there weren't any EMTs at all. Watch the video and you'll see only cops jump out of the ambulance. I think it was all cops. The nightclub was involved in money laundering, making counterfeit cash, and Floyd was out spending counterfeit 20s and therefore was publicly murdered. Some people are saying Chauvin did this because he knew that he'd be arrested. The media would turn this into a race war to distract people from the corruption that's happening in that precinct to hide that it was an organized crime hit. An anonymous comment on Twitter said, "So if this is the case, and was it a conspiracy that only the El Nuevo security cops were in on? What's the long-term plan to extract them from prison? They might try to get rid of Chauvin too to keep him from telling the rest of the story, like they did Oswald and Ruby." Surely they wouldn't go along with killing George Floyd, unless they had some way to get away with it. CBP officers discovered $900,000 in counterfeit U.S. currency in a commercial rail shipment in International Falls, Minnesota. The counterfeit currency was seized and will be turned over to Secret Service. December 15, 1921 50 hours or 11:50 p.m. International Falls, Minnesota. U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, officers at the International Falls port of entry seized $900,000 in counterfeit U.S. currency Friday that was discovered in a commercial rail shipment originating from China. If so, could this have been orchestrated by the Democrats? He was trying to spend a counterfeit $20 when they were going to arrest him. Santa Maria's connection to El Chapo's Sinaloa cartel. Minneapolis is a known hub for international human, drug, money trafficking, known to be Sinaloa cartel stronghold. Hired 30 officer from precinct to bounce, including Chauvin. Hired convicted felons to bounce, including George Floyd. Got Chauvin off on previous murders. The 3rd Precinct, El Nuevo and the La Raza radio station burned down. The mayor of Minneapolis ordered police to stand down and let burn. This is huge. Was George Floyd a hit job to protect a money laundering operation at El Nuevo?